The topic of today is my child, my responsibility. My child, my responsibility. And I'm here with no other person than my sweet mommy, Mrs. Christiana Ajao. She's the wife to our Reverend Minister. That is our Papa, Reverend Joshua Ajao. Mommy, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
How are you?
Very fine, thank you.
And how was service today?
Yes, God, it was great.
Thank God for. In fact, mommy is a mother of three, so she knows so many things about children. In fact, she's a teacher. If you need anybody to help your child, contact her. She's very good with that. She's a pedagogist. That is all. Mommy, who is a child?
Well, a child to me is someone who still needs the guidance of someone probably much more experienced and older than him or her. That person is a child. Okay, then when we are talking about a child, someone can be a child irrespective of their age. As long as we need guidance from someone, then we are still children.
Anybody, because right now, who doesn't need guidance?
So that makes everybody
A child.
at
Okay.
one point or the other.
Mommy, please kindly walk us through what is parenting.
Yeah, parenting to me has to do with taking up responsibility to train up people or a person much more younger than you. I say that because when we talk about parenting, it doesn't have to do with your own child, biological child alone. Okay, so parenting just has to do with I look at someone and I think I want to be able to raise this person, I want to be able to train this person to a level that that person will be a useful person in the society. So that's what parenting is about.
Mommy, I want to know why should parents take the upbringing of their children very serious? What is it about taking care of a child? Why should you take it very serious?
It's very, very, very vital that we produce responsible members of the society. And for that reason, it is very, very imperative that we take the training of our children seriously. Okay? We all know that when we look into the society today, there are so many people causing problems, not making the world safe for us. It starts with people not really taking care of their children the way they should. So it's very, very important.
Mommy, what are the best ways parents can train up their children? Do we have any guidelines or rules that we have to follow to train our children in the best way?
Well, thank you very much. I wouldn't say there's a fast rule. There is no set down principles for training children. I would say that because every child is unique, and the kind of attitude that a child will put up differs from child. In fact, let me tell you that even within people who have twins, triplets, twins have their individual characteristics. And so for that reason, you can say the way I train
The older one
is the way you train the younger one. And so there's no fast rule about the principles to use to train a child. But the most important thing is just reliance on God to give you the best way to go about the whatever. So I won't be able to pinpoint and say this is the rule. Do this, do this, do this, and it will happen like this. I hope you get what I'm talking about. So there's no fast rule, there's no lay down principle that this is the way we should train children for them to be able to do this. But I think that basically there are some few things we can do that, all things being equal, a child will grow up to be a responsible person. Number one is train a child by way of prayer. Train a child the way of the Lord, and then correct the child when the child does something that is bad. I guess basically that would help us to be able to train children.
The way of the Lord, the way of prayer, and correcting them when they go wrong. But mommy, Bible says that you should train up a child the way they should go or grow, so that when they grow in it, they will not depart. With that Bible verse, how should parents go about this? in the way of the Lord. Some might not know what it means. Can you please expatiate a little?
Okay, thank you. I guess the first thing I want to say is that what you don't have, you can't give to someone. So the first thing about training a child in the way of the Lord is for you, the parent, to also have Christ in your life. So if you have Christ in your life, then right from when that child is very, very little as maybe 1 day old, then you can begin to train that child in the way of the Lord. I know of people who, when the starting point, let me say the starting point in training a child in the way of the Lord is when the child is being born, that very moment, the parents should be able to carry the child in their hand and prophesy what they want that child to be in life. That's the beginning part of training. So when I say even from day one of the child, you start training in the way of the Lord. And then as the child is growing, the child does this and no, that's not how it should be done. I remember when my children were growing, sometimes they would do some dance, they would say something, they would watch some things on TV and they want to say no, but a child of God doesn't do that. So you start talking to them gradually, right from when they are small. This is the way of the Lord, this is not the way of the Lord, and gradually they will be growing up to see them. Then you are training in the way of the Lord that way.
Okay. Well, like you're saying, we give birth to these young ones in this world. So I want to ask that, what kind of influence do you think the world now is having on our children? Does the world even have influence on them now? Or is it a normal thing?
The world has a very, very great influence on them. And that is what makes parenting even much more difficult now compared to before. Now, this age that we are in, a lot of technological advancements, there were some things that people like us, as young as I am, did not enjoy during my own time. I mean, it is not acceptable for you to do one thing or the other. Even owning a phone, it's very difficult then. And so, but right now, a child as young as 10 can hold a phone and then do a whole lot of things on the phone. In fact, there are so many things I don't know on my phone, but my small boy, Judah, can just go do everything on it. So that's one way the world is affecting the children now. So parenting becomes much more difficult because there are so many good things on these social devices. There are so many bad things in them too. So that's why I said it makes parenting very difficult. And now, because of this kind of things they see, a lot of children out there whose parents are not bothered about their training, they can also affect even our own children, unless God takes control, unless you make frantic effort to make sure that no, I am not going to allow my child to go in the way of the world. So the world has a very, very great influence it's playing on children now.
This is very, very serious. Mommy, but some parents don't have time for their kids. So what makes some parents not have that time? Well, I can't tell. What makes some parents not have time for kids? Because you cried for this baby, and God has blessed you with it. The Bible said it's a gift, right? That God has given to us. So if you have been given a gift, why don't some have adequate time for them? I just want to know.
Thank you very much. That's a very big question. So many reasons accounts for parents not having time for their children. Number one, the quest for getting money. Some parents believe if I sit with them, I'm not working and there is no money, then these children would end up suffering and they might just as well blame me, probably as the father or as the mother. So that could be one reason why, in fact, that's the main reason why most parents don't have time. So like a career woman who has to go in the morning and come in the evening, you can imagine the children are out there too, even on weekends. That could be a reason. So the quest for money. Another reason why some parents don't have time for their children is maybe they don't see it as a very, very vital thing to be with them. They feel the moment we give them money, we give them food, everything they need, they are just fine. In fact, some of them says, oh, we take them for lessons. Saturday classes is there, this one is there. They are there with their teachers. So why do they need me? That's another reason why some parents think they don't have enough time for their children. So that could also be another reason. One other reason I think could cause this, and that's more to the side of the fathers. They believe their mothers are there, they are supposed to be the one to train them. But you see, with training of children, it is not supposed to be the sole responsibility of mothers alone. And so that's another reason why we have some parents like fathers saying, well, I don't have the time. And sometimes the father has the time, the mother doesn't have the time. The father is with them at home, why doesn't he train them? So shifting of responsibilities too could also be a reason why parents don't have enough time for their children.
Mommy, today you are really, really going inside. Mommy, so who is to be blamed when a child goes wayward? Is it the mother, the father, or the child, him or herself? Because from what you are saying, shared responsibility can cause this. Because some mother thinks that the father should. Father thinks the mother should. So if a child goes wayward, whose responsibility? Is it the mother, the father, or the child is being stubborn that when they advise him or her, he said, me, I won't listen, I will still be stubborn. It's whose responsibility?
Well, if a child goes wayward, I want to look at it in the area of all the people involved in the training of the child. Right. I want to look at the father, whether he's not taking his responsibility, how he should take it. I want to look at the mother as well. Maybe they are not taking it. Or sometimes too, it could be that they both did their own part, okay, but the child himself did not take heed to what the parents are saying. You get it? So that could be a reason. So we cannot pinpoint, and it's always not good. Like our Yoruba people will do and say, "Omo yi ojo ye," because you are bad. You see, what about the father? When the child was going wayward, what was the father doing? So it's not supposed to be a blame for mothers alone. Neither is it supposed to be blamed for fathers alone. Sometimes we cannot blame the children because, like you asked earlier, maybe we didn't have time for the children. So if they go wayward, can we blame anyone but ourselves? So the blame can come anyway, depending on whatever happened in the life of that child.
Viewers, I hope you are listening to all this. Please, let's have time for our children. Why do parents sometimes hide some education from their children? You know, it's more like, it's not everything parents tell their children. I mean, why? Like, sometimes they hide, or they don't educate them much. So if they are implications, I want to ask, why do parents hide much information from their children?
Well, for so many reasons, they might want to hide. Number one reason that I see is for the children not to notice their weakness. They feel the children are looking up to them, and naturally speaking, a child will look at the father and the mother like a role model. So if there are some weaknesses in the life of those parents, they don't want to use it to educate their children, so that their children don't look at them like, oh no, my daddy is not good. But take for example, if a father, when he was growing up, when he was in school, he used to fail, they don't want to educate the child along that line, because they feel, if I say it, then my child can say, if I don't know what I'm doing, my father is also like that, you see, or my mother is also like that. That's one reason. Another reason is maybe they feel the children should not be exposed to that thing. They feel no, especially the part of the world where I come from. Mothers will not educate their children about sex. They believe that, sincerely speaking, my child is too young to know about this and that. Do you know, I know of some people whose parents, whose mother told them that, hey, when a man touches you like this, you get pregnant.
Imagine.
And that is wrong education. Instead of sitting that child down to say, as a lady, this is that. If this happens, this is what will happen and all that. We shy away from it. In fact, sometimes we call it so. And so, because of that, we try to hide it from them. So we think some things are sacred, sort of, and they shouldn't know about it. They are too young to learn about it. So that could also be the reason why we don't give them those education sometimes.
And if we are not giving them, their friends are teaching them. So we need to give them this education. It's very, very important. Mommy, should parents go the hard way in training up children? Or it should be a soft one when the child offends? I'll beat you, but there will be no beating. Should it be the hard way or the other way around?
If you remember, like I said earlier, there's no fast rule to training a child. It depends on the child. Now, as a teacher, I've been exposed to a whole lot of children. As a mother, those 3 kids that I have, they have their individual differences. Some children, all you just do is show them some signs and they grab it and they stop whatever they are doing. Some children will still continue to do that thing until you give them some spanking. Some children don't even want you to call them down and give them advice. They go like, I have disappointed mommy, I have disappointed daddy. And so, for that reason, the way you will go with each of the children will differ. So sometimes when they need that hardness, you give it to them. Even after showing them the hard side of you, there should still be that soft side of you that will call them back, show them love, and let them know why you were hard on them. So I think using both of them, depending on the circumstance, is very, very vital.
Wow. Mommy, so what are some of the parenting styles that parents should adopt when they are training their children? Like you are saying, it shouldn't be too hard, it shouldn't be too soft. So what are some of the parenting styles you advise parents who are watching you to adopt for their children?
Okay, so maybe I should start by saying that every parent needs the wisdom of God. There are some things you let slide and you shouldn't allow it to go. You should there and then discipline that child if that child does it. But there are times too that we discipline them and we could have overlooked that thing. Okay, so I want to think that the best way to train our children is to allow the wisdom of God. What should I do? This very moment, this child has done this. And if we allow God to give us that wisdom, we'll be able to know that maybe this child deserves to be spanked at this moment or deserves to just be talked to. But above everything else, when we pray, let's also pray that whatever means that we use to discipline them, they should also take it in good faith. Because if they don't take it in good faith, some of them, when we are too hard on them, I always tell people, when you are too hard on your child, the child might pretend and say, yes, I hear you. But when they go out, when you are not there, what are they doing? And so I wouldn't want to go for too much hardness on children. But at the same time, I would just like, there's a saying that says, spare the rod and spoil the child. When they deserve to be beaten, please, as parents, let us beat them. When they deserve to be talked to, let us do that one as well. When they deserve to be shown love, to be commended, that's one thing my children always tell me. Mommy's always shouting, you have done this wrong, you have done that wrong. How about the times that we do the right things? Then I tell them, oh, sometimes I don't scold you always. I commend you sometimes. They say, no, it's not as much as the scolding. So please, as parents, I want to advise that we should commend our children for as many times that they do things that are good. That is part of the training, because that will become part of them in life. They know that, oh yes, when I do it right, I get the commendation. Before you know it, they will go out to be like that.
Wow. Don't always be time. Sometimes give us sometimes.
Yeah.
But what are some of the challenges that parents face when training up children? Well, there's no challenge.
Oh, a lot of challenges.
Give us some.
So one of the challenges you already mentioned is peer pressure. It makes it very difficult for you to be able to tell your child. I mean, your child does not understand why should you not wear this when she sees the friends wearing it outside. Why should I not use some things when I see my friends using it? And why should I not be given something when I see my friends are being given just that? You get it?
Yeah.
So that's one big problem, peer pressure. They look at the people of their age group and they feel, oh, I should also be allowed to do some of these things. And maybe you as a parent know why you don't want your child to do that. It becomes a big problem. Another challenge is this social media. Social media is a very, very huge problem, a big challenge in the training of children. Reason being that, like I said earlier, this technology things, they are very, very good for so many reasons. Of course, children can do research and all that for me, but at the same time, it teaches them some bad things. And so you as a parent, you are saying this is the way you should go, and they see some grown children, they can say, you no, you don't talk to me like that. And they want to say, why can't I talk like that? Why can't I act like that? So that could also be a very big challenge. Another challenge of parenting could be that when the father and the mother are not agreeing on how to train the children. That could also be a very great challenge in parenting. Maybe mommy, the children look at mommy and say, mommy is too hard. And some say, oh, daddy is too hard. And then they start taking side. Mommy goes like, don't mind your daddy. Your daddy is just unduly hard. Or you see, and the daddy goes like, your mommy, don't mind her, she's always like that. And before you know it, the training you should give those children, you are not able to give them because there is disparity, there is division in the way you reason. So that would also be a big challenge in the training of children.
I hope we are learning a lot. I mean, what are the consequences of parents neglecting their responsibility? If parents neglect their responsibility on the children, are they some consequences?
Big consequences, a very huge one. And in fact, I am praying that may we not face those consequences as parents in Jesus' name. Now, if we look at the number one consequence is the child becomes useless to himself or herself. At the end of the day, when he or she sees some other children that are well trained and they become responsible people, teachers, lawyers, nurses, doctors, and what have you, and he sees his mates being doing all of those things, and he is a drug pusher, you see, it makes some other children to even commit suicide. So that is one huge problem from doing that. I mean, another consequence of not training our children very well is that to us ourselves, they become a big problem. Burden, serious one. Children who are supposed to have been grown, working and bringing money to the parents, they are still coming to the parents to collect, but parents have to give them food to eat because they didn't train them well. So that could also be another thing. And I know a lot of people have developed pressure because they didn't train their children, and the children have become very bad people. And of course, to society, it has a very huge impact. Those armed robbers, those slave queens, and the rest of them that we see today, they come as a result of not getting the proper training that they needed to get. So if we neglect our responsibility as parents, then we should know that we are breeding very bad members of the society who one day become a problem to us ourselves.
This question is a little bit funny, but I want to bringing up a male child and a female child, which is more tedious. Is it the male or the female one that is more tedious?
Well, I I want to say, contrary to what people say about male children being difficult, one guru
But they are hard.
Money jump on, yes, they are hard and all that. It depends. It really depends. I know for my own children, it was a lot easier to train my first son than to train my daughter. Yes.
How?
Okay. For example, for a female child, they become so aware of themselves early enough. And if care is not taken, like the peer pressure I talk about, they might begin to look at life the way their friends are looking at life.
Yeah.
But a male child might not care. I mean, they dress anyhow, they do anything, they are not demanding of some things. You get it?
Yeah.
So along that line, that's why I can't say for real that this one is better than this one.
But mommy, the boys, they like playing hard.
Very hard play.
But the girls don't do that right.
It depends. For me, I was a girl amongst boys.
Okay.
So I was like a tomboy. My daughter is only girl among boys. She's also like a tomboy. So that one, they outgrow it. Naturally, that one you can't do anything about it. It will come. But they outgrow it with time. So I want to say that it depends on each individual child. You cannot say a female child is easy to train or a male child is easy to train. Each one of them have the challenges they bring. And then dealing with them, if you know the best way to go about it, then it becomes a lot easier.
What are your advice to parents and children as well?
Okay. My advice to parents, number one, is that every parent should go the way of the Lord to train their children.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't be too difficult with the children. They should not say, hey, this is the way you should go about it. It's either my way or no way. When we do that, we are training the children to be pretenders. When we are there, they will do it our way. But when we are not there, they do it the way of the world. So we should not be too hard on them. We should not set some very difficult rules for them not to be free. We should make them to be free. We should be their friends. We should be their friends. And then for children too, I want to advise that they shouldn't look at us as old school, like they will always say. They say, mommy, that's your own time. Daddy, that's your own time. In fact, my children will always say, now, time I will butcher. Those kind of things, we should stop it. Because when we do that, our parents are more experienced than us. They know some things that if we go that way, it will cause problem. And if we go this way, it will be better. So we should also try and listen to our parents as children.
We've learned a lot today. We've heard a lot from our mother today. Please, parents, don't forget that these children are gifts from God and you are going to account on them one day. Are you sure the account you are going to give about these, your children, is going to be 100%? Would you get a crown on your child? If not, so far as you are alive today, there's an opportunity. Sit with your child. If there is misunderstanding, call for unity and be responsible parents, even to all your children. Please, don't let any child of yours be wayward. Mommy, thank you so much for calling you and responding to our call. We are very, very much grateful. May God bless you and your children so much. We shall meet next week, same time. Please, on Friday, don't try and watch our RLM show. Is that RLM Love is Sweet on Fridays at 6 to 7 on our YouTube page. We are now on YouTube and Facebook. The YouTube page is the First Baptist Church Kumasi Ghana and Facebook is Baptist Ghana GH. Please subscribe, like and share. We are bringing you more and more things you are not expecting. Please, those of us who have not subscribed, we beg. We need you to subscribe for us. It's very important. Please subscribe and subscribe for a friend. The more the friend watches, it's an evangelism tool you have done, and you will get a crown for it. Subscribe, and I'll give you a gift. Have a nice day. God bless you. Bye bye.